few stories, and so Cecil got the idea maybe I could come up here tonight. I see George over there with stories already. He kind of gets a kick out of them sometimes. Well, first of all, let me tell you where I'm from. I'm from a little town down there called Cajun, Louisiana. It's not near Thibodeau. Not very big, very small town, you know. And that's what we're going to use this week, though. I heard we're going to get our first traffic light down there. Everybody's so excited, man. They're all trying to pick out the colors and everything. They had to close the library there last week, though. Somebody checked out the book. When we returned, it hadn't even finished coloring it yet. There's much industry going down there. I guess our biggest industry we got down there, we got us a 400-pound Avon lady. I was down there visiting not too long ago, and my little granddaughter Sarah, 5 years old. But man, you talk about smart. That girl is some smart. We were over at cousin Popeye Malonzo's house. Cousin Popeye. They call him Popeye because he got one glass eye, and when you hit him, it kind of pops out. That's why they call him Popeye. But anyhow, I told Sarah, I said, Sarah, show cousin Popeye how smart you are. And she goes, 10-9-8-7-6-5-4-3-2-1. Popeye said, cool. He said, well, you learned that at school? She said, no, from the microwave. Then we had to go out to the post office, and I took it at the post office, and we walking in there, and they got the pictures on the wall, and she goes, oh, she said, what's them pictures on the wall there? I said, oh, Bev, I said, that's the FBI's 10 most wanted men. I said, when they catch them, they're going to put them in jail for a long, long time. She said, why didn't you just keep them when they took their picture? Anyhow, I'll tell you about a couple people that live down there, and my favorite people, Clarence Thibodeau and his wife Clotilde, and Marie and Alcide Boudreaux. Well, these two characters lived on opposite sides of the bayou from one another, and there was no way to get across, but they'd stand on the bank of the bayou, and they would insult each other all day long. Well, lo and behold, the state of Louisiana decided to build a bridge. They built that bridge, and when that bridge was finished, Boudreaux told his wife Marie, he said, I'm going across that bridge, and I'm going to beat up that Clarence Thibodeau. I had enough of him. She said, okay, go ahead. Well, he took off. He wasn't gone 2 minutes, and he's back. She said, I thought you was going over there to beat up that Clarence Thibodeau. He said, I was. But I got to that bridge, and they got that sign that said Clarence, 15 feet. I didn't realize that name was that big. Oh, Boudreaux decided he had enough of what was going on in Washington. So he called the president. He said, Mr. President, he said, this is Boudreaux from Louisiana. He said, me and the Cajuns, we declaring war in Washington. The president said, well, that's interesting, Mr. Boudreaux. He said, how many men you got? Oh, he said, we got us a few Cajuns here and a couple shotguns. The president said, well, I got 500,000 men here in Washington. He said, you still want to fight? Boudreaux said, I'll call you tomorrow. Next day, Boudreaux gets on the phone and said, Mr. President, he said, a war's still on. The president said, well, Mr. Boudreaux, did you get any more men? Oh, yeah, he said, we got us several more men, we got us a couple of tractors, and we got us an ultralight even. Well, he said, I want you to know we have 1 million men now here in Washington. You still want to fight? He said, I'll call you tomorrow. Next morning, he gets on the phone, he calls the president, he said, President, he said, a war is still on? Well, Mr. Boudreaux, did you get any more people? Oh, yeah, we got a few more people. We got us a few more tractors and stuff like that. A few more shotguns. We okay. He said, well, look, I got 2 million men here now and tanks and planes. You still want to fight? Boudreaux said, I'll call you tomorrow. Next day, he gets on the phone. He said, Mr. President, the war's off. The president said, well, he said, when you come to your senses, you know, me with my 2 million men and all my planes and stuff like that, and you were just a few. Boudreaux said, no, he said, it wasn't like that. He said, me and the boys got together last night and we had a meeting. And we come to the conclusion that there's just no way that we can feed 2 million prisoners. Boudreaux was really depressed. So he went out and he saw a psychologist, and the psychologist said, well, you know, Mr. Boudreaux, he said, when I get depressed like this, he said, I run. He said, I get out and I jog. He said, that's what you ought to do. So Boudreaux said, well, I've never done that before. He said, but he said, I love that woman. He said, I'll try anything. He said, how far you want me to run? The psychiatrist said, well, he said, try 10 miles a day for 2 weeks and see how it goes. And he said, after 2 weeks, you give me a call. Well, 2 weeks go by, and Boudreaux called the psychiatrist, and he said, here I am, 2 weeks. He said, I did what you said. Well, the psychiatrist said, well, how are you and Marie doing? They said, I don't know, I'm 140 miles from home. Go ahead, look now, all right? Okay. Boudreaux, I'll finish with this one. Boudreaux had this trip to Spain, and he went down to the library, he took out his books on Spanish, and he's sitting there studying, and Thibodeau came over there, and he said, Boudreaux, he said, what you doing? Oh, he said, I'm going to Spain, man. He said, I got to learn a little Spanish. Thibodeau said, you don't have to do that. He said, all you got to do is talk real slow, and people over there smoke. So he brought the books back, and time came to go to Spain. He took off, and he landed in Madrid, and he was hungry. So he went to this restaurant, and the waitress came over there, and Boudreaux said, I think I'll have a steak and salad. She says, how would you like your steak? He says, where are you from? Mississippi. Boudreaux said, how'd you learn to speak Spanish so good? I'll close with this. I know we have a lot to do. And this is something I really touched me when I first saw it. Maybe you've heard it. It's a story about a father who wanted to read his magazine, but he was being bothered by his little girl. She wanted to know what the United States looked like. So finally he tore a sheet out of his new magazine on which was printed the map of the country. And he tore it into small pieces and he gave it to her and he said, go into the other room and see if you can put this back together. And this will show you what our whole country looks like. Wasn't very long. After a few minutes she returned and she handed him the map correctly fitted and taped together. And the father was surprised and he asked her how she had finished so quickly. Oh, she said, on the other side of the paper is a picture of Jesus. And when I got Jesus back together where he belonged, then our country came back together. So when we get Jesus back where he belongs, our country will come back together. So again, it's been a pleasure being here, and I hope to see you all in the